Welcome to the Michael K. Gray Show, where we highlight change makers that are making a big difference in the community. Today, we are featuring a leader in the community, former mayor of Union Township and current commissioner of Union County. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Michele Delisfort. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. You have been involved in urban planning for
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so great. 30 years, and you've done like so many community development project and economic development project in this area and even in the community at large. Mm-hmm. So what drives that passion in terms of urban planning?
So, it's interesting because it comes from two different parts of my life, right? I feel like I grew up in two neighborhoods when I grew up. One was an urban neighborhood and the other was a suburban neighborhood. And I saw the disparities and the inequities. I think I was very intuitive as a child. I really paid attention. I interacted with, the kids from the urban neighborhoods as well as the kids from the suburban neighborhoods. And for me, urban planning wasn't something that I knew about growing up at all, quite honestly. But I knew that the neighborhoods were different, the communities felt different, and the resources were different, right? Mm-hmm. And people were living differently. So that's something that I always wondered about, why, right? And then fast forward to undergrad, I was a political science major and English minor, and I took a lot of urban politics classes, and I thought I was going to go to law school. And had a great professor, Professor Roland Englund, and he really challenged the students to push the envelope. And we had several light debates, and he encouraged me later on when I was at the end of my junior year to consider urban planning instead of law school. And I didn't know what it was, but he was gracious. He introduced me to professors in the graduate school at the time, Blaustein. At the time it was Rutgers Planning School. And I got a chance to audit their classes, and it just made sense. I fell in love with it. It triggered something inside of me that just really, kind of answered the questions that I had in my youth and then growing up. So that's essentially what brought me to the field of urban planning.
Wow, that's good. So when did you establish the Neshwin
Group?
Neshwin Group, because I know you were managing partner principal
yes.
of the institution.
Absolutely. So I had a variety of different opportunities and job experiences beforehand in the field of urban planning, ranging from, I'll say this, urban planning it's very dynamic. There's a lot of concentrations in urban planning, ranging from transportation to community development, environmental planning, urban design. There's so much redevelopment planning, land use planning. And I had the opportunity of working in a bunch of different industries that tapped into different areas of planning. So I've had the transportation planning background. I've worked with community development institutions that provided financing to nonprofit organizations to do mixed income properties or to do commercial activity. I've worked for local government, running their planning departments and overseeing their land use boards. And so Nishwain kind of came about when I felt like I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Right? My parents were entrepreneurs, and it's just the footsteps that I wanted to follow in. And Nishwain came about when, for me, every 5 years I tend to hit my ceiling kind of quickly. And I'm thinking, what's next? And at the time, my partner was doing a sole proprietorship, and it was like, why not? Why not, start a firm? There were no minority firms in the area, and we just felt collectively like, let's do it. We were talking earlier. I jumped, and I was teaching at Rutgers as an adjunct, planning courses, of course, and it was sort of like just a natural fit. Yeah. And this is like almost 19 years later, and we're still standing.
And your dad was a medical doctor. He's
Right.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
he's a medical
retired,
doctor.
exactly.
Retired medical doctor.
Yeah, he's a retired pediatrician. Yeah. So, when I mentioned earlier that I grew up in two different neighborhoods,
Right.
one was right here in Clinton Hill in Newark, right? Because that's where his practice was for 55 years. And the other was in the Township of Union.
Great. So, Commissioner, you have inspired many, many, many people. And I know you mentioned your parents and how instrumental they were in your life. So, what are some of the other individuals you say that have inspired you on your journey?
From a very early age, I mentioned my parents, and I would be remiss if I did not mention my brother, who is extremely extroverted, right? Earlier I talked about that I was introverted. He is somebody who pulled me out of my shell, who gave me advice along the way, which really propelled me into the entrepreneur that I am today. He's extremely charismatic, and he always sees something that nobody else sees, and so I would definitely say he was a big influencer in my life growing up and even today. Of course, I mentioned my parents, and I would just say there's a host of people that I watch, right? And I like how they move. I like how they navigate different platforms. And of course, you don't want to mimic people because everybody's different, right?
Yes.
So, how you present is very subjective. But, as far as influencers in my life, I don't know. I just, it's the people that are around me every day, right? Those are the people that matter. Those are the people who I really know. I understand, levels of sincerity that they have, ambitions and drives. And I think, again, I mentioned earlier, I'm honored, I'm humbled, I'm fortunate, I'm blessed to have the friends, the family, and the network of professionals.
So one of the things about this particular program is to inspire people. What are some of just name me one challenge you faced and how you overcame that?
Public speaking.
Really? Well, you're such a eloquent, natural speaker.
Yep. Public speaking is, something even my family kind of jokes about today when they see me in the public, presenting, speaking, interacting with others. Again, I was very shy as a child and, again, very introverted. And so public speaking is something that I worked on. I took courses. Again, remember I said you got to be prepared when you show up. And so everybody knows, what that thing is that they need to work on. And for me, that was it. And so, over the years and just getting out in front of larger and larger and larger audiences, I've done panels at the United Nations, spoke in front of hundreds of people. The anxiety and the fear kind of finally went away, but that's a huge challenge because otherwise I would not have had my voice, right? Nobody would have heard what I'm thinking, what visions I can share, what solutions I can offer. And so I'm glad to say that challenge is now behind me.
Wow. So, you handled that so well because I've heard you speaking on several occasions and you were extremely eloquent. And,
Thank you.
And you really convey good messages to your constituency. I know you've done so many projects and won many awards in the urban planning arena. Can you just name one project that you have undertaken and how that project helped the community?
So I'll say this, right? I hate naming one because I feel like, within a 30-year span, there's been so many. Yeah. But in every project that I've touched, right, and that I've worked on, I give it 150%. And what does that look like, right? That means let's really throw away everything and look at the community for what it is. Let's look at the existing conditions. Let's establish a vision. Let's talk to people to see what that vision should look like, because I don't believe in a top-down kind of, that policy. I really believe in like grassroots oriented approaches. And so to me, it's imperative that you talk to community members in different type of venues, right? Whether it's at community programs, whether it's at a town hall, or at a community meeting, right? So it doesn't necessarily always have to be formal, but get out in the community, walk the area, understand what's going on, and have the conversations, and then come back and put together a really sound strategy and plan to redevelop and revitalize those communities.
Wow, that's so great. In terms of Union Township, you led over $500 million in terms of redevelopment funding. So how did what was the strategy employed to attract that kind of resource, and how did you ensure that the money generated benefited the community?
So in that capacity, I was on the Township Committee for the Township of Union, and I served in the mayor capacity. I actually served during the pandemic. So, it was an interesting time. A lot of things were closing. A lot of people were suffering, and we really had to just kind of dig in and figure out how were we going to address the issues and concerns, whether it was the health disparities, commercial needs, making sure that businesses were able to sustain themselves. I'll say this, before the pandemic, the big push, right, the big trigger was looking at the land uses, primarily along the commercial corridors, right, whether it was Springfield Avenue or Union Center, and seeing, what issues exist that we can sort of enhance, right? How do we enhance the downtown area and the commercial corridors? And so we looked at the zoning regulations, which were antiquated at the time. And, it was a matter of looking at, whether let's increase height in the area and let's bring in some more activity. And the way to do that, quite honestly, is to bring in, residents and patrons to really come and basically patron the businesses in the community and along those corridors. And it's difficult, especially now, but it's always been difficult, I can tell you as a business owner, to make sure that business is sustainable over time. So there were measures that we put in place to help the businesses out, different types of funding programs, just to really make sure that they were able to sustain themselves before the pandemic and after.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, we also did, a market analysis and, engagement. I'm big on engagement. Again, get out there, talk to the business owners, find out what their issues are. And my overall philosophy is if a municipality invests in a community, you will see that the owners of those properties will also invest. And that's exactly what happened.
Okay. So was there some like public and private partnership, that maybe like partnership in the state, federal government, and other private entities?
We dealt with, we had the funding from state and federal entities, right? And then also identified developers, right, who really understood the vision of the municipality.
Right.
And, that was a partnership, because what you find is in some municipalities, they look at developers and as sort of like opponents, right? What do you want? And, that kind of thing. I don't do that. I look at developers as partners, because these are the people that are going to come into your community and revitalize it according to your vision, right? So it's a partnership. Right. And that's, what we were able to do in the Township of Union and other areas as well. It was really a matter of identifying the right developer, who had the experience and the skill sets, and who really had it was a very transparent experience. So it was good.
Because I like the word when you say right developer, because I know you care about the people.
Yes.
So you want to bring in someone that understand and developer that will try to enhance the community based on the people's expectation, and not necessarily imposing their will
Correct.
on the people. So that's real great. So in terms of executive, you were mayor, and now you serve on the legislative side from the county. So how did your executive experience prepare you for this particular position at a county-wide legislative position?
I'll say this, I always come to every experience with the skill sets that I have in urban planning. Because again, urban planning is very broad, so there's so many different it's a big network, right? You have to understand so many different agencies and how they all interrelate. And so being mayor was sort of like, the next step, using planning as a platform to really promote revitalization as mayor. And so now as county commissioner, it's I'm not gonna say it's the same, but it's definitely an opportunity to service a broader population. Union County has over 500,000 residents. It's 21 municipalities. The demographics are very different, and the income base is different. And so each municipality you have to look at as its own entity, and then proceed accordingly, because everybody needs something differently, right? Some communities are smaller, and they may have shared services with other towns. Then you have other communities that are larger and more urban in scale, and they may be looking to help revitalize, vacancies and commercial areas, or bring in a level of affordability, housing affordability to their communities.
So you added like so much value, that executive experience, that urban planning experience, understanding, talk about infrastructure, talk about the health infrastructure, talk about the educational sector and all that. Wow, so they're very blessed to have a leader like you. So when researching about you, I know I've known you for several years, and you work closely with my late boss, Congressman Donald Payne, a junior. And one of the things that you always try to push is mentoring emerging leaders,
yes,
in the urban planning and also in the political arena.
Yeah.
So why did you find mentoring the young generation important?
I'm a big believer of the theory, pay it forward.
Okay.
And I had excellent mentors. I feel like I'm very blessed with the people that came into my life, shared information with me, shared their network, opened doors in rooms where a 25-year-old would never be.
Right.
And I just feel like in order to be successful in those rooms and in those positions, you have to really understand the larger scale of how society operates, whether it's politically or whether it's professionally. And so I'm a big proponent of everybody. I feel like we're all born to establish a certain goal, but you need others in your life to help you attain that goal. And so for me, mentorship is an opportunity to give back first and foremost, right? And it's also an opportunity to teach others things that they may have otherwise overlooked or just not considered. And those things may have really make a difference in how they impact whatever future projects they work on or lives that they touch. So I am a huge proponent of mentorship, whether it's in the political arena or whether it's in the urban planning arena. In general, I think mentorship is an extremely important opportunity, and everybody should have a mentor in their life at any age. Yeah.
I really commend you for that, most especially mentoring the next generation of leaders, because they are the leader
Right.
that will make the difference for us. They are the future. So now, in terms, there are many people that I would like to learn from you in terms of leadership. There are some emerging leaders, or there are some leaders in other sector that want to come into the public sector.
Right.
Is there any specific advice you have for them?
I would say show up, right? People want to do a lot of things, but when it comes time to do it, sometimes it's difficult or it's a challenge for them to execute, right? And I feel like, my mother always says, the sign of progression is when you wake up in the morning and fix your bed, right? So
yes.
Something as simple as that. So something as simple as just showing up, quite honestly. to whatever it is that leads you, right? Whatever your passion is. So if you're concerned about the condition of a park, right? Or if you're concerned about the sidewalks, that is the opportunity to go to your local council meetings, right? And have the discussions and, really know who's representing you. But in order to do that, you have to show up. You can't, watch it on TV. There's a difference when you're interacting with people in person, and you really get a sense of who's being genuine and who's not, and how to proceed. So first and foremost, I would say show up.
That's something good to learn. So be in public, learn to show up. You can have all your big dreams and aspirations, but the first thing you need to do is just show up.
Yeah. And do your research. Do your research. Fact check. Right. Don't be. Don't just parrot what you've seen or what you've heard. Right. Like, have your own opinion. And it could be a culmination of all of those things. Right. But as long as you do your research, be prepared, and again, show up.
Right. So being a female in a leader, and from the Caribbean, specifically in Haiti, what are some of the challenges you faced? And because you are really respected, you're highly respected in the community. Many times your name has been mentioned when it comes to serious matter and being a solution provider. So what are some of the challenges you face as a woman and also as a minority, particularly a Caribbean and specifically Haitian?
I think women in general, right? There's sort of this, I'll say minority female, there's this preconception, right, about who we are, how we behave, how we respond to things. And so one thing that I will say about this is, walking in the room, I'm somebody who, I'm actually an introvert, believe it or not.
Seriously, I didn't see that.
I'm very introverted, but when I walk in the room, again, I come prepared, and I also come open to different experiences, right? Like, I'm interested in engaging, right? I want to know what people are thinking, what their experiences are, and I'm also very solution oriented.
Yes.
So as a minority female with Haitian American, my culture, my upbringing has been such that you always have to be very open-minded, right? But be firm in your position, firm in your morals, firm in your ethics, and then proceed accordingly. But so I try not to let the noise, distract me in any way. I usually come with an intention, and my goal is to execute it. So.
How, in terms of all the good work you've done over 30 years of urban planning and working as an executive and now into the legislative branch, years from now, how do you want the world, how do you want your family and friends to remember you?
Good question. Wow. I think I'm somebody who has always been responsive, reliable, and I'd want to be remembered as somebody who made a difference, right? Again, we're born into this world to do something, not just for ourselves, right, but for society as a whole. And so I would want to be remembered as somebody who had an impact in people's lives and people's communities, a change maker.
But I can attest to it. I've seen your work, and that is why you're on the Michael K. Gray Show, because you are a change maker.
Thank you.
So your friends and family, and also your constituents are listening to you. Is there any message you have for them? Your camera is located right there, and I just want you to look directly at the camera and just speak to your constituents and just
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you. Right? I could not be where I am today if it wasn't for all of you. So first and foremost, thank you. I'm honored, I'm humbled to be where I am. I can say, I don't have a crystal ball, so I did not see myself being here, but I do appreciate the opportunity to help, to be responsive. I appreciate, just being on a landscape where I get to interact with people, again, on the grassroots level, all the way, to the State House, right? And without my constituents, without their faith, without, seeing sometimes in me what I don't see in myself, I wouldn't be here. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And to my friends and family, extremely supportive, extremely supportive. Don't know what I would do without you. My parents, extremely philanthropic and always there for me. My son, totally understands and always pushing me, to continue to go forward. And that's something that I'll say, to all my friends and my family, thank you for the support. Thank you for, the being sounding boards. And thank you for the advice and just for accepting me for who I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, I inform you that we're never going to let you down, that we're going to bring you change makers that are making a big difference in our community. And so that change makers is being heard, and you seeing all the great job she's done in terms of urban planning and in terms of public service. Thank you so much, Commissioner Delisfort. May God bless you, and we hope to hear more great things about you in the coming years.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.